Have you ever stepped into a crowded room, felt the hum of 100 conversations around you and thought, I wish I could just leave? Not just because you feel uncomfortable, but because it aches. It's as though your mind and soul don't quite belong in this place. And yet society tells us that connection with others is the essence of happiness. But is it? Today we're going to explore why you may not like being around people, all through the lens of Stoic philosophy. By the end of this video, you might just find that your discontent isn't something to be ashamed of, but something that can lead to deeper self-understanding. You see, the Stoics were no strangers to the discomfort of social life. Figures like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus weren't hiding from people. They just understood something profound: that our inner world is far more important than the outer world of fleeting interactions. Before proceeding further, I want you to take a moment and subscribe our channel Stoic Sense, so that we can continue our discussions in the upcoming videos. Now, let's take a deep dive into 5 reasons why you might find yourself avoiding people, and how Stoicism offers a pathway to understanding and managing these feelings. Let's begin. 1. You crave depth over superficiality. Reason number 1, you crave depth, not superficiality. We all know that feeling when the conversation is just, well, small talk. The weather, the latest gossip, the usual pleasantries. It's tiring, isn't it? It's exhausting to engage in exchanges that never seem to go beyond the surface. The Stoics, in fact, would say that this isn't just a personal preference. It's a sign of a deeper alignment with virtue and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius reminded us to live in harmony with nature, which for him meant cultivating meaningful relationships and conversations, not wasting time with fleeting exchanges. As an introvert, or someone who seeks depth, the external world often feels shallow. Stoics believed that a life focused on virtue, wisdom, and self-reflection brings true fulfillment. So when you're surrounded by people who don't share those same values, the dissonance between your inner world and the outer world becomes hard to ignore. It's not that you dislike people, it's just that most of them aren't offering anything that aligns with your soul's deeper need for meaning. 2. You have trust issues. Reason 2, trust issues. For some of us, trust is fragile. It's a currency that's been spent too recklessly in the past, only to result in betrayal. Betrayal leaves deep wounds, wounds that aren't always visible, but they shape how we engage with others. The Stoics recognized the importance of trust, but also the necessity of caution. Epictetus famously said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This can be interpreted to mean that when it comes to people, it's not about having many relationships, but about having a few true ones. Trust issues aren't paranoia, they're survival mechanisms. After all, it's hard to rebuild trust after it's been broken. And as Seneca said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. When someone breaks your trust, it can feel like a mental and emotional battlefield. Every new interaction becomes a risk. It's not that you don't want connection, you just need to protect your heart until you feel safe again. It takes time to rebuild that trust, and sometimes that means stepping back and finding the rare individuals who prove over time that they're worth the risk. While some people thrive in the hustle and bustle of constant social interaction, you find your energy is drained in those environments. After a busy day, rather than attending a party or hanging out with friends, you long for quiet time alone. It's not loneliness that pulls you towards solitude. It's a deep need to reconnect with yourself. Solitude is not just about being alone. It's about being with your thoughts, unfiltered. When you're not distracted by constant external chatter, you can think more clearly and understand what truly matters to you. This quiet space allows for introspection, creativity, and a deeper connection with your values. So while others may be chasing after social experiences or external validation, you are more focused on the richness of your inner world, finding fulfillment in stillness and introspection. 3. You spend time with the wrong people. You're spending time with the wrong people. It's not that you dislike people in general. It's just that some company is downright toxic. You know the ones. The complainers, the narcissists, the energy vampires who seem to drain you with every word they speak. The Stoics believed that you should surround yourself with those who uplift you, who are aligned with reason and virtue. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." When you're surrounded by those who drain your energy, your social interactions feel like an emotional burden. It's not about rejecting all people, but choosing who you spend your time with. The energy you invest in others should be a mutually beneficial exchange, not a one-sided transaction where you're left feeling worse than when you arrived. You value quality over quantity in relationships. Unlike those who are constantly seeking to expand their social circle, you prefer a small group of close, meaningful connections over a long list of acquaintances. For you, it's about the depth of the bond, not the number of people you know. You understand that true friendship is built on shared values, mutual respect, and authenticity, rather than superficial interactions or social status. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus, taught that the only true wealth lies in the strength of one's character and the quality of their relationships, not in the number of people around them. In this fast-paced, social media-driven world, it's easy to get lost in the pressure to be popular or constantly connected. But you, as an introvert or someone who seeks meaning, know that a handful of genuine, enriching relationships is far more rewarding than countless shallow ones. These close connections bring you peace, support, and shared wisdom, qualities that will sustain you in your personal growth and pursuit of virtue. So, while others may flock to large gatherings, you are more inclined to nurture a smaller, more sincere circle of people who truly understand and support you. You seek a balanced life, not a busy one. In today's world, busy is often seen as a badge of honor. But for you, it's not about filling every minute of the day with endless tasks or obligations. It's about finding harmony between work, personal time, and your passions. The Stoics, particularly Seneca, warned against living a life dictated by external expectations. He urged us to evaluate how we spend our time, advocating for a life of intentionality and purpose. For you, this means prioritizing activities that nurture your mind and spirit, rather than running from one responsibility to the next. You understand that productivity isn't just about checking off tasks. It's about aligning your efforts with your values. While others may be caught in the rush of busy schedules and constant distractions, you actively choose a slower, more mindful pace. By creating space for reflection, hobbies, and meaningful conversations, you are crafting a life that aligns with your true purpose. A balanced life is one where every moment serves a greater goal, allowing you to grow as an individual, strengthen relationships, and contribute to the world in a way that feels deeply fulfilling. You long for personal growth, not just success. You long for personal growth, not just success. While success, in the traditional sense, might be measured by accomplishments or material gains, you recognize that true fulfillment comes from growing as a person, day by day. Success is fleeting, but growth is ongoing. For the Stoics, self-improvement was a lifelong pursuit, and the key to true happiness was aligning your actions with wisdom and virtue. Marcus Aurelius encouraged us to constantly examine our thoughts and actions, striving to be the best version of ourselves, regardless of external recognition or rewards. Unlike those who focus on outward success as a measure of self-worth, you find meaning in the process of becoming, learning, evolving, and refining your character. This mindset allows you to find fulfillment in small steps of progress, knowing that each moment spent growing is an investment in a more purposeful life. So, while others may chase after accolades or wealth, you are more concerned with the quality of your journey, because for you, personal growth is the greatest form of success. Number 4. You struggle with low self-esteem people. It's not that you don't care about others, but being around people who consistently doubt themselves can feel emotionally draining. Low self-esteem can manifest in many ways: constant self-criticism, seeking constant validation, or relying too heavily on others for reassurance. As someone who values inner strength and self-reliance, This behavior can create a disconnect. You may find yourself trying to help them, but often feel like you're hitting a wall, unable to break through to the deeper issue. It's exhausting to constantly offer support, only for the person to reject it, reinforcing their negative beliefs about themselves. The Stoics believed in cultivating self-worth from within, based on virtues like wisdom, courage, and justice, rather than seeking validation from others. They understood that true self-esteem comes from acting in alignment with your values and principles. For you, being surrounded by those with low self-esteem can be frustrating, because it often feels like they're not seeking to improve themselves, but are trapped in a cycle of self-doubt. Their inability to see their own worth can sometimes reflect back on you, causing your energy to feel depleted and leaving you questioning your own role in the situation. The emotional toll of constantly interacting with someone who struggles with low self-esteem can also affect your own mental state. While you may naturally want to help or fix the situation, you know that lasting change comes from within, not from external forces. It's difficult to help someone who isn't ready or open to the idea of self-improvement. And when you constantly find yourself in these situations, it can leave you feeling disheartened and disconnected, as if you're pouring your energy into a bottomless pit with no tangible results. Ultimately, you understand that you cannot be the source of someone else's self-worth. While you might offer advice, empathy, and support, you also recognize that personal growth comes from the individual's own journey. The Stoics taught that we cannot control others, only how we respond. You may still care about these people, but learning to detach emotionally and focus on your own growth allows you to maintain a healthier sense of balance, freeing you from the weight of others' insecurities. Sometimes the reason you want to avoid people has nothing to do with them at all. It's your own inner narrative that's the problem. You feel like you're not good enough, not interesting enough, not worthy of their time. The Stoics acknowledge the battle we all face with our inner critics. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And this is often true when it comes to social interactions. We replay every word, every smile, every gesture, questioning if we said something wrong or if we look awkward. But Stoicism teaches us to transcend these thoughts. Our value doesn't come from external validation or social approval. It comes from within. The idea that we can cultivate self-worth without the constant need for reassurance is one of the most powerful aspects of Stoic thought. Recognizing this can help you break free from the cycle of self-doubt, and when you do, it becomes easier to re-engage with others. 5. You struggle with social anxiety. Reason 5. Social anxiety. Perhaps the most intense struggle for some of us is social anxiety. The physical symptoms, the racing heart, the sweating palms, the fear that everyone is watching and judging. This isn't just shyness. It's a mental battlefield where every interaction feels like a test you're bound to fail. Social anxiety often comes from past experiences, the times you were embarrassed, rejected, or humiliated. But the Stoics had a powerful lesson for those of us struggling with this. The only thing in our control is our own response, said Epictetus. Anxiety arises when we focus too much on things outside our control. The reactions of others, the judgments, the possible mistakes. Stoicism teaches us that the only judgment that truly matters is our own. Learning to cultivate inner peace, regardless of external circumstances, allows us to move through the world with less fear and more clarity. So, there you have it. 5 reasons why you may not enjoy being around people. But here's the key. These aren't flaws. They're reflections of who you are, your experiences, and your inner world. The Stoics would remind us that solitude isn't something to be ashamed of. It's in solitude that creativity blossoms, introspection deepens, and the mind finds clarity. It's not about avoiding people. It's about honoring your own well-being and finding balance. Number 6. You're sensitive to the noise and chaos of modern life. In today's world, everything seems to move at an overwhelming pace. Constant notifications, the buzz of social media, and the never-ending stream of news can feel like a relentless barrage on your senses. It's not just people who can feel overwhelming. It's the constant external noise, the constant stimulation of notifications, the endless rush of traffic, the chatter of a world that seems to never slow down. For those who crave inner peace, this sensory overload can be draining. Stoicism teaches us the importance of mental stillness. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful than your own soul." In today's world, it's difficult to find that stillness. The modern social environment pushes us to constantly be engaged, be visible, be active. But the Stoics would encourage us to seek tranquility amidst chaos. If you're someone who feels drained by noise, by the sheer constant motion of life around you, that's okay. This is a natural result of seeking inner harmony in a world that thrives on distraction. The Stoics would advise you to find moments of solitude, whether through meditation, nature walks, or simply stepping away from the chaos. This allows you to reconnect with your inner peace. It's not that you dislike technology or the connectedness it brings, but you are acutely aware of how it often disrupts your peace of mind. You long for a sense of calm, but instead you're surrounded by noise, physical, mental, and emotional. Whether it's the constant hustle of city life, the overwhelming volume of information, or the pressure to always be on, it can be difficult to find space to breathe and center yourself. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, spoke about the importance of maintaining inner tranquility despite external chaos. They believed that the world will always be full of noise and distractions, but true peace comes from within. You recognize that the external world will never slow down, so it's up to you to cultivate inner calm. This requires setting boundaries and being intentional with how you interact with the world around you. While many people seem to thrive on constant stimulation, you find solace in quiet moments, reflective thinking, and engaging in activities that nourish your mind and spirit. Being sensitive to the noise and chaos isn't about rejecting the world around you, but rather understanding your limits. You may have noticed that too much exposure to fast-paced environments or constant social interaction leaves you feeling drained. You need time to decompress and reset, to give your mind the space to process and find balance. It's about being selective with what you allow into your life and recognizing that your mental well-being is just as important as your physical health. Ultimately, you know that creating a sense of peace in a chaotic world is a conscious effort. You actively choose to engage in practices that calm the mind, whether that's meditation, nature walks, or simply unplugging from the constant noise. By doing so, you protect your inner world and maintain the clarity necessary to navigate the complexities of modern life without being overwhelmed by it. Number 7. You're still healing from past wounds. Sometimes the reason you avoid people isn't because you dislike them, but because you're still carrying emotional scars from past interactions. Whether it's betrayal, rejection, or abandonment, these wounds don't just disappear. They leave a mark that shapes how you view the world and others. The Stoics weren't naive to the human experience. They knew that pain, loss, and disappointment were part of life. But they also understood that our power lies not in avoiding these experiences, but in how we respond to them. As Seneca wrote, "It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Your past wounds may not be something you can easily forget, but they don't have to define you. Healing is a process, and sometimes it requires distance. The Stoics believed in focusing on the present moment and controlling what we can: our responses, our actions, our emotions. While you heal, it's okay to step back from others and focus on rebuilding your inner strength. Time, self-compassion, and a focus on personal growth will help you move forward. You don't need to rush the process. Healing takes time, and Stoicism teaches us to accept the pace at which we heal. So now we've explored 7 reasons why being around people might feel difficult. Whether it's craving depth over small talk, struggling with trust, being surrounded by the wrong people, dealing with low self-esteem, battling social anxiety, feeling overwhelmed by the chaos of modern life, or healing from past wounds. Each of these is a reflection of your unique experiences and personality.